My name is Sarah Saucedo. I graduated from BU in 2006, and I'm currently an associate at Winston & Strawn in Washington, D.C. After law school, I went home. I'm from New Mexico originally, and it's funny, no matter how long I live away from New Mexico, I can't help but start a conversation with, I am from New Mexico. I went home to New Mexico to clerk for the New Mexico Supreme Court. It was a chance for me to totally reestablish roots there, reconnect to my community there, get involved in the legal community, and it was a wonderful experience. So because of the experiences I'd had before law school, I was pretty clear on at least what I wanted my immediate next steps to be. And one of those things was working at a big law firm. I mean, that's where you get the kind of cases that I wanted to work on, the kind of international type of experience that I wanted to get. A lot of those law firms I was able to access through BU's own programs, but there were some that I couldn't, and the Career Development Office was really good in terms of helping me work with career development offices at the other local schools, if those firms happened to be visiting their schools. And so that way I was able to target all of these special things that I wanted to do. So a typical day for me, I don't know, maybe there isn't really a typical day. The first thing that I do is look and see what's going on in Latin American news, because a lot of the work that I do has a Latin American focus. My real bread and butter at work is investor-state arbitration, and what that basically means is that an investor, a big company, a big multinational company, invests in a foreign country, and often problems arise. So usually you've got a big natural resources type of project, a mine, an oil facility, something of that nature. Those companies and their operations are affected by what's going on in that country, by the laws that are being passed in that country, by the politics and whatever sort of current events are going on there. And so for me, that makes the work all the more interesting, because it's not it might be basically a contract dispute, but I like that there are all of these international political and policy factors surrounding it. I have had the opportunity to travel to Latin America a number of times, which has been wonderful for me. That's something that I wanted to be able to do. I am fluent in Spanish, and that's, for me, getting to work in Spanish is really hard, but it makes my work that much more interesting. What interests me most is doing something where I'm able to speak Spanish, where I'm working in an international context, where I'm working on issues mostly in Latin America. Maybe as I gain more experience in a more of like a counseling advisory role, as opposed to a more adversarial role. I'm not a particularly adversarial person, and that's a good thing also to realize. Somebody once told me it's a lot easier to do something and figure out that it's not something that you want to do than to somehow miraculously divine what it is that you do want to do. My advice to new law students would be to not take a whole lot of advice. I would say I didn't read whatever the books were that you were supposed to read about how horrible law school was, or how to be a first-year law student. Try to maintain a little bit of who you are, because I think it's going to be really hard to get through those 3 years, not to mention put that degree into practice if none of it has anything to do with who you are as a person.